Baby, we live.
What's up, guys? Welcome to J Live. You know me, Jefferson Schill, my partner in crime.
Hey guys, I'm Jared Jenkins. I'm the Business and Sales Development Manager here at Lifesize.
Today we are joined by Elaine Cleary from Gainsight. How are you doing, Elaine?
Doing fantastic.
Could you give us a quick introduction on yourself and what you do at Gainsight?
Absolutely, happy to do it. So thrilled to be here on the webcast with you guys today. I'm actually a customer success director at Gainsight, so ultimately responsible for helping ensure that our customers get the value that they expect out of our partnership.
Awesome. So we're very excited to have you on to talk about customer success. Customer success is a huge buzzword nowadays in businesses. What do you think is attributing to all this buzz around customer success?
You know, there's a lot of things I think that are really important about customer success, but to begin with, you know, I'm not sure everybody understands what customer success is. And to take a step back, I think it's really important to know that what you're trying to do is make sure you have the customers to get the results that they expect or the outcomes that they expect from your partnership with the experience that gets them to that point, and it has to be a positive experience. So it's really important because if you think about that fundamentally, if your customers aren't getting value, and if how they got value wasn't a good experience for them, you can kind of forget it. They're not going to be your customers for very long. In terms of the importance of it, it's just so critical because more and more, I think executives in organizations and boards and VCs are understanding that, you know, the cost to acquire a new customer is pretty high. Everybody knows that. The cost to maintain a customer is a lot lower, and those existing customers are the ones that are going to drive more revenue growth for your organization.
Right. So one thing that I'm always curious about, you know, we hear in the past customer service. Nowadays you're hearing customer success from a lot of SaaS companies. Customer service is kind of a dying name within SaaS. What is the difference between customer service and customer success?
Fantastic question. I'm so glad you brought up this topic. So, you know, I think of service in the past as being more directly related to customer support, which, by the way, I would argue is extremely important still, like shouldn't die at all. Definitely a little more on the break-fix side, a little more reactive, but your customer support / service side of the business is just as critical as, you know, what is definitely emerging on the customer success side. Customer success, in my mind, is definitely more proactive. It's getting the right information to the right customer at the right time and trying to keep them on that ideal journey with your organization so that really they maximize the value of that partnership.
Right.
Gotcha. So more being proactive and a lot of communication from the start.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You got it.
When it comes to that communication, what does a healthy cadence look like from purchase to renewal? Yeah,
so it's really funny because an unhealthy cadence is absolutely like waiting just before the renewal to talk to the customer. That's definitely a bad idea. You're not going to like this answer, but I think the healthy cadence actually varies. But I am going to put some parameters around that. So most of the most successful companies that I work with are actually tiering their accounts. They're basically, for example, saying we have an SMB part of our business, maybe a mid-market part, and an enterprise part. And they're building a journey for those tiers that makes the most sense. And that journey is going to be a combination of both human touch, you know, someone like a CSM like myself reaching out, as well as digital touch, maybe through email, for example. And I think if you can not only figure out what's the right level of touch to sustain that healthy relationship, but then just monitor and manage to those exceptions, you'll be in a much better place. So in a lot of cases, you know, folks want to use technology to monitor usage data, for example, and then you can intervene when, you know, what you're doing isn't working and you need to take a different strategy or a different tactic.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah. So some people probably need a little bit more help than others. Some people need a little bit more guidance than others. It makes a lot of sense.
Do you recommend, like the CSM, do you recommend them having that discussion ahead of time with the customer? Like, hey, what's the best way to communicate with you? Do you prefer emails? Do you prefer touches, social touches, or whatever it may be, or just video calls?
Absolutely. So I think for your largest customers, if you think about the 80-20 rule, having that conversation makes complete sense. Now, can you do that with every single customer? It's just not going to scale. I mean, you just can't hire enough CSMs. So you probably wouldn't have that discussion with your smaller SMB business, but absolutely with your largest customers, yeah, have an upfront conversation about the best way to manage the relationship. 100% best practice for sure. Good call.
Yeah, good question.
Right. All right, two-part question. Why is customer retention so important? And two, why should companies make it a critical initiative to really focus on it?
Yeah, so we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I mean, the cost to acquire a new customer is much, much higher to retain an existing one. Your existing customers are absolutely like drivers of new business. And this may not necessarily seem obvious, but the minute that you close a new customer, first of all, they become, an opportunity for renewal. Secondly, in most companies, they're going to be an opportunity for expansion, cross-sell, upsell. And thirdly, and most often overlooked, is they're an opportunity for new business through doing advocacy for you. I mean, in this day and age, most companies are doing all their research before they get on the phone with you. So they're doing those backdoor references, and you want to have advocates in that existing customer base. So having, focus on retention and what it takes to get there is going to drive that growth, first of all. And then secondly, I mean, I can't tell you the number of discussions that I've seen and heard around VC firms and investors and boards talking about how you've got to hold businesses accountable for their base. Because it is, at some point, it is going to be a larger part of the growth of your business than acquiring new customers.
Right. You talked about advocates, and Jared and I, we had our first webcast was with Influitive, whose business is on referrals. What is a healthy cadence to ask for referrals, and how should the CSM be asking for referrals once they establish that relationship?
This is a great question. First of all, I love the folks over at Influitive.
Yeah,
they're
great.
fantastic. Yeah, I've had the good fortune of working with them in the past. So it's interesting because I work with a company here locally in Austin, and at the end of every implementation, they ask their customers to be advocates. And the first time that they tried this approach, they increased their percentage of advocacy twofold, just because they took the time to ask and, had never really done it before. I will say that if you use technology, the ideal thing to do is to look for those signals in the data. So when a customer is highly engaged in your business reviews, or, they're highly engaged on your community, and there are definitely some signs that will tell you when it's a good opportunity to ask them. So I'm not sure that it's always the set, hey, 6 months before the renewal or 3 months after the contract sign, you should ask. I do think for your higher touch segments, you'll probably have a process that lines up to, maybe more calendar-like. But for the rest of the business, you may be using signals and data that you're monitoring to say, wow, the customer's at 95% utilization, and they're engaging on our community all the time. We don't have them in our reference program. We should ask them now while things are going well. Yeah, a lot of times people think customer success is really about, managing risk in the business. And that's normally the starting point because you're trying to, keep your retention looking good. But at some point you have to pivot and recognize the value of focusing on advocacy. And I think the team at Influitive does a good job of helping companies recognize that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So get a good relationship in, and then monitor that data. When the data is heavily being used, get in there and ask for the referral.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
So another question around kind of how your CSAs are engaging. Are they using? We talked a little bit earlier about whether it's email or calling them. Are any of your CSAs on video?
Absolutely. We do a lot on video, actually, and I highly encourage that because I think it brings a much more personal experience to the conversation. Obviously, things can be misunderstood in emails, so sometimes the best thing to do is not just get on the phone, but get on a video call. I can't overemphasize the great relationships that I've built with companies that I work with that I've never met in person, And I attribute a lot of that to having video conversations with them and, being able to read their facial expressions and engage their reaction. And when they're giving me that blank stare, recognizing, wow, they really aren't getting what I'm saying. I should try this again.
Fantastic.
Do you know any companies that do video?
Lifesize, I think. Lifesize, yeah.
Coincidentally,
video collaboration. I think Lifesize.
I'm pretty sure. And the quality is extremely high, by the way.
It's great. It's like you're right here with us right now, Elaine. I can touch you.
Hey, it's probably better to be on video than to be, wasting time traveling and driving in traffic. I mean, what's up with that? Who needs that?
Get traffic, right?
Who needs that?
One of the hot topics I always have discussions with our internal customer success teams is about upselling, upgrades, expanding accounts, and we go back and forth with, well, the CSA, they're living with the customers, they're constantly talking to them, they know what they're using, they see the data. Should they be cross-selling? Should they be upselling? Or should that be someone left? Should that be sales to do that job? What is your thought on customer success selling?
Okay, I have a very personal and strong opinion on this topic. So I've been in customer success for more years than I'm willing to admit, first of all, but let's just say for a really long time. And I think the most effective customer success managers or customer success associates, CSAs, are in a trusted advisor role, and they're not actually selling. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not identifying opportunities for upsell and cross-sell and passing that along to sales. It also doesn't mean that they're not held accountable for retention and renewal. But I think if you build a strong partnership with your sales team, you're in a much better position not to be negotiating on price, with your customer when you're the person that they look to for best practices, for advice, for counsel, for really being that advocate for you inside their company. So I don't think that CSMs should be quota driven. I also think that, if you're, well, and I will tell you in the past, I have been. So, I have worn both hats. And when it comes down to it, if you're on a quota, as an example, that's what's going to drive your behavior and prioritize what you do. So you're going to spend more time focused on achieving your quota than on actually doing the things as a customer success representative, the proactive outreach, et cetera. Inevitably, you're going to be too busy and priorities are going to take over, and the traditional CSM responsibilities will get left by the wayside, and then you'll just really end up being a salesperson.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you for that.
And then it's a trust thing at that point.
Exactly right.
It's like, okay, is this person really trying to help me, or are they just trying to hit their number?
So,
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right. Yeah. I want to be that trusted advisor. And I do see a lot of companies very successful in partnering with sales and, passing those leads across. As a matter of fact, I am comped on what we call highly customer success qualified leads. So I'm supposed to identify them and pass them off, and we keep track of that. But yeah, don't let me negotiate on price. That's a bad idea.
Well, thank you for that insight. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
One comment I wanted to make was regarding Pulse. You guys are going to be at Pulse, I think, in early April, right?
Yes. April 10th and 11th, I think. Yeah.
What is Pulse all about for all the viewers that don't know what Pulse is?
So it is the largest customer success conference in the world. It's a fantastic event for not only learning best practices in the industry, but also networking with other companies. It's a fantastic community. I have to say that I've never been part of such a large group of people that really genuinely want to help others be successful. So unless you're talking to a CSM at your direct competitor, which doesn't happen that often, everyone comes together to share their ideas on how we can advance customer success, make it real for our businesses and for our customers, and really help everyone be successful in the long run. It's a fantastic event. I think this year we're expecting up to maybe 5,000 of your closest friends, all talking about customer success.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Jay and Jared. It was a pleasure.
Of course.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Once again, that was Elaine Cleary from Gainsight. We are talking about the importance of customer success. Tune in again next time, but until then,
we live, baby.
We live.
Yeah. live.